Hi everyone, welcome to day two of the webinar. I hope you're doing good, all of you. Can I get quick responses on the chat box? How are you doing? How are things? Also, what did you learn from yesterday? If you could just drop in one piece of insight. I think the chat is not enabled. Let me just check.
I've enabled it, Tanuj.
Okay, awesome. So, guys, how are you doing and what were the insights from yesterday's session? Good evening, Manshi. Manshi, I can see you're being very active even on the WhatsApp group. Awesome. Good evening, Gausia. Amar, fine. Say something more than fine. You know. Good evening, Kumar, Marlene, everyone. What were also? So, how are you doing? And did you like the music? And your one piece of insight from yesterday. So, even people who didn't attend the session yesterday, maybe they can quickly revise the previous session. Manshi says it was a great session. Hope this will be amazing. Like more than amazing. Much more than amazing. Okay, Umar says it helps a lot in creating Upwork profile, but what did you gain? Give me one insight. And don't say, building an Upwork profile or, like basic stuff like that. Give me one piece of insight which you did not know before yesterday that you gained from yesterday. Chandrani, I completely understand you look forward to learning about contracts today, but what did you learn yesterday? Specific insights. Good evening, Ujjwal. Guys, I'm not getting specific insights. Till we don't get at least 20 specific insights from yesterday's session, we'll not begin the session. Quick, guys. Good evening. Everyone is how to create profile learned yesterday. Okay, but what? Give me something specific. Like Sagar is saying, okay, Sagar is saying freelance work needs a lot of patience, especially with the first gig. Awesome. Chandrani says, I got confidence to start freelancing full time. Chandrani, that's amazing. Umar says the contract drafting can also be used as freelancing. Great. Okay. How contract drafting can help? Sophia, is that a question, Sophia? Questions on the Q&A box. Okay. Manshi says insight from yesterday's session was that we can succeed only if we start taking actions immediately. Yes. Folks, it's very simple. Action causes results. Thinking doesn't cause result. Learning is useful but doesn't cause results. Action causes results, right? Yesterday's session was very fruitful as I gained insights in cross-border legal freelancing. Shubham, that's awesome and great use of words. Arpita did know contract drafting has so much scope. Yes, awesome. Thanks loads to Loctopus. So Arpita, it's Loctopus, not Law Octopus. Okay. I keep correcting. I have been correcting people for since the last 14 years, and I'll keep correcting. Okay, please don't mind. Chandraroop says PAN card is required. Chandraroop, is that the biggest insight? Okay. Nayana says patience is the key to success with time, dedication. Okay. Sandhya says the thing I wasn't knowing there's a thing called contract drafting and stuff that we can. Awesome, guys. Great insights yesterday. Hope is not a good strategy. Oh, wow. Manshi? So, did you register for the course, Manshi? Yes, no? Are you thinking of registering today? Manshi has been very active. Manshi, I sort of recall your name. Okay. Opportunity to work with firms abroad. We need to prep ourselves. Okay. Awesome. Great job, folks. Okay. So, guys, today's session is going to be on what? Can you put it on the chat box if you've been paying attention? What is today's session going to be on? Today's session is on what? Please put it on the chat box. Contract drafting. Drafting. Yes. How to draft, right? So, guys, we are going to begin to understand this thing called contract drafting. Okay. It's a complex thing, but yesterday, so many of you had a question, no? How do we start? So, see, Upwork is like a marketplace. But when you are in the marketplace, what do you require? You require skills to offer to that marketplace. Today, you are going to begin to learn about that skill. Okay. Cool. So, folks, I'll start sharing my slide and Akanksha, I think you'll have to stop sharing the music, and I think then I'll be able to do this. Okay. Manshi says, I would love to register, but due to financial crisis. Okay, don't worry, Manshi. We'll help you out. Okay. Right. Mukesh says, I'm a first year law student, want to learn drafting to earn pocket money. And Mukesh, you can earn more than pocket money. Okay. Awesome. So, Akanksha, I'll try sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes,
Okay,
perfectly.
so guys, being a freelancer allows you to serve globally, US, Europe, the world is your kingdom, earn big, and work from anywhere. I'm in Chandigarh, Akanksha is from Nagpur. Anup is in Kerala, Akanksha. Anup is
Yes,
based out of
yes,
Kerala. Okay.
yes.
Work from anywhere. And actually, if you work hard and if you learn the skills of contract drafting well, then you can earn this much amount. It's not pie in the sky. It's not a random figure we have thrown. It's not something, hey, let's entice people using these random numbers. These are real earnings which you can achieve. Okay. Day one is over. How many of you have gone through the slides of day one? Please put it on the chat box. Say yes on the chat box. Ayush, there is EMI. We'll talk about the course later on. We'll talk about the course from 8:30 p.m. Okay. Have you gone through the slides? Yes, responses. Guys, quick responses. Today it's Akanksha was telling me I need 2 hours to complete the session. But I was like, no, we need to have dinner also. Quick, guys. Okay, awesome. So we've gone through the slides. That is for your use, folks. Save it, record it. Okay. Today we did a quick revision. Special gift is that we have changed our offer from yesterday, which I'll tell you about at 8:30. Okay. So today, Akanksha is going to take us through a contract and we are going to begin to understand how do you start drafting a contract. Okay, very interesting. And there is going to be an interesting practice session of approximately 5 to 15 minutes. Okay. From 8:10 to 8:30, we are going to do a Q&A session on drafting and freelancing. So you can ask all the questions to Akanksha. 8:30 to 9:15, if you're interested to register for the 6-month long expert level contract drafting course, you have a chance to register with a huge scholarship. So we have removed the bonuses, but we have given a huge scholarship. Okay. So I'll tell you about it very soon. So today we have Akanksha Mishra. Akanksha Mishra is the CEO of Loctopus Law School. She is a graduate of the prestigious Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and as a student, she also worked with IIM Ahmedabad, which it's amazing. She has an LLM from University of Nagpur. She's a gold medalist, and she has taught over 2,000 learners online with a rating of 95 on 100. And today you will experience why she is rated 95 on 100. Okay, and she has taken workshops in many colleges now and given talks in many colleges. Okay, she's also a practicing litigator. She carries experience of both corporate side of things and litigation side of things, and she's helped many PSUs and private companies, like Mastersoft ERP, My Captain, BHEL, which is I think one of the Navratnas. Okay, and she's also winner of the Business World Legal, not 40 under 40. She's not that old. She's 30 under 30. Though next year she'll have to apply for 40 under 40. Okay, awesome. This is the structure of the course which we discussed yesterday. It's a 6-month course with 45 live sessions, 44 live sessions. You get to draft 10 agreements. You get personalized feedback on each of your drafts, which is worth gold. You learn to draft 24 types of complex agreements. And there are 32 hours of recorded lectures. Structure is month 1 and 2, we go slow, approximately one session per week. You cover the fundamentals of contract drafting. Then you cover common agreements and international agreements. It varies actually, okay, depends on your batch, but these are the type of agreements you cover: IP agreements, technology agreements, web agreements. IP and tech is the future. We have to cover this. Business agreements, as I said yesterday, is where a lot of the capitalism happens there. The capital happens there. Okay. And then real estate agreements. India as a country loves real estate. So you cover all of this. Okay. You have sessions on Zoom. You can watch the recordings. We'll get your Upwork profile up and running. Just like for this webinar, we have been giving you regular updates. Guys, if you've been impressed by the regular updates, just mention regular in the chat box. Put regular in the chat box if you've been impressed. You were like, wow, Manshi has been impressed. Okay, great. Because we want you to attend these sessions and for our course as well. We want you to complete the assignments and you will have a learning manager as well. So care and warmth and rigor and being practical are some of our core values. Okay, so otherwise you can see most of the things on our slides. This is the structure of the 6-month course. Okay, now with that, I will hand it over to Akanksha. She is going to teach you something very practical. Guys, diaries and pens out. Okay, DPO, diaries and pens out. Okay, put DPO on the chat box if you are actually focused and taking notes, because that's what's important. If you're sort of just hanging around watching TV, um, plan to watch Netflix or have dinner on the side, this will not work. Okay, awesome. So Akanksha, over to you. And folks, questions on the Q&A box. Got TPO sorted 30 minutes prior to the session. Pratiksha, awesome. Okay, awesome. Questions on the Q&A box, and let's get started.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Tanuj, for such an incredible introduction. I'm all fired up and I'm very ready to, pass on the same energy to all of you. Are you all ready with me for this particular session? Everybody give me a thumbs up or your favorite emoji. You can send me your favorite emoji on the chat box if you all are ready to walk this 1 hour with me, where we're going to make it a memory. Okay. We're going to actually great, awesome, loving this energy. Okay. Everybody send me your favorite emoji, whatever. Oh, awesome. A lot of your favorite energy is just a thumbs up. Okay, great, great. I'm loving this energy. So with this energy, we'll maintain this energy throughout this 1 hour because we're going to actually learn something so fundamental to not just contract drafting, but to be very honest, so fundamental to law as a career. If you're a law student or a lawyer or somebody who has anything to do with law, what you're going to learn today is literally the first step, like the um starting point of entering into this vast world. Okay, so as Tanuj mentioned, I'll just quickly give you a heads up. In this 1 hour, okay, we're going to understand the skeleton of a contract. Okay, when I say skeleton, we are actually going to broadly understand the different types of clauses that go into any type of an agreement, not a particular type of agreement. We'll actually look into the clauses which can go into any type of agreement. All agreements contain these clauses. If there are any clauses which are very specific to some agreements, I will tell you that. Don't worry. Okay. So we'll look into that. We'll also try to get a deeper understanding of one of the most important clauses, which is the identification of parties clause. And you know what? You and I will draft one clause together in this session itself. Okay. Great. Everybody clear with what we're going to do in this session? Yes. Everybody clear? Okay. Fahima, Manshi, Chandrani. Okay. Awesome. Everybody is clear. Great, great. I'm so glad with this. Okay. All right. Now, before I share my screen and before we get into the crux of the matter, okay, let's do a small, I want to ask you something. Okay. Um, so, of course, we'll get to an understanding of what a contract is. We need to have like a little bit of like our background in check before we get into the clauses of a contract. Okay. Little bit of like a background. What is a contract? What happens in a contract? Okay. Now, what you all have to do is on the chat box, okay, you have to mention don't start mentioning. First, listen to what I'm asking, okay? First, you have to let me complete and then you have to send it on the chat box because you will be wrong. Till I finish my sentence, you will be wrong in sending anything on the chat box, okay? You'll know why, okay? All right. So anything that you know about contract, it can be like an essential element of a contract. It can be like a clause that goes into a contract. It can just be any random word that you've heard which is related to a contract. Okay. You have to send me that. See, Ananya, you're wrong. Okay, you're wrong. I told you, let me complete the sentence, and that's when you have to send it on the chat box. Okay, wait, guys, please wait. Please wait. Let me complete. I have not completed it. You have to send that word on the chat box. Okay. And the idea is, the twist here is that word has to start from the letter of your, like the first letter of your name. So if my name is Akanksha, I will write acceptance like that. Okay. Or agreement. All right. So you have to do that. So everybody who's not listened to me fully is everybody is wrong. Okay. Let's begin. All right. So Pratiksha says promise. Okay, great. I am looking into your, how many of you have heard me correctly? Non-judicial. Okay, Nirupam. Awesome. Proposal, consideration. Okay, void. Oh, great, Vanshika. Great. Special contract. Understandable terms. Okay, Ujjwal. I like this creativity. Great. Okay, section D, section of clauses. Awesome. Review, lawful. Okay, brilliant. I'm loving this creativity. Okay, great. So a lot of you know a lot about contract. Okay, I can see that from your chat box. Okay. In the flow, can you also tell me, I mean, before we enter, can you also tell me what are the essential elements of a contract? There are 5 essential elements of a contract. Let's understand. Let's hear from you. Okay. In fact, there are 6 essential elements. Let me just say that out loud to you. Okay, yes. So what all? Okay, offer acceptance. Great, awesome. There has to be an offer. Then there has to be an acceptance. Okay, awesome. Then what else? Competence of parties. Very good. What do you mean by competence of parties? What do you mean by competent party? Who is a competent person? Who is a competent person, learners? Yes, somebody who's not a minor and somebody who is of a sound mind. Okay, great. What else? What else? Consideration. Awesome. Okay, great. But what kind of consideration? Is it just consideration? Is it any kind of consideration? It has to be a lawful consideration. Okay, great. Then lawful object. Awesome. Okay, then what else? What else? All of you are so talented. I'm so happy with this. Okay, so lawful consideration, competence of parties, offer and acceptance, lawful object is done. 2 more are left. Free consent. Awesome. Okay, free consent means what? The consent has to be devoid of what? Free. Ha, very good. Coercion. What else? What else? Undue influence. Okay. Yes, very good. What else? Fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. Right? Okay. So that's your free consent. What is the last thing that nobody has mentioned still? I mean, you might have mentioned, but I'm really sorry. It might have gone up on the chat box. What is the last one? Everything is done. Competence of parties, capacity to contract, all of this is done. What is that one thing which is not done? Enforceable by law. Okay, but that's not an essential element that actually contract has to be enforceable by law. What? Yes, very good, Kanishka. Okay, very similar to enforceable by law means that the parties who are, involved in the contract, they need to have an intention to create a legal relationship. Okay, both the parties need to have the intention to create a legal relationship. Okay, are we good until here? Everybody is good with me? Yes? Can you give me a heads up? Oh, okay, great. Now I'm going to share my screen and now we'll look into the skeleton of a contract. Okay. Okay. Do let me know on the chat box only if you're able to see my screen. Okay. Everybody is able to see my screen. Okay. Awesome. All right. Now now from now onwards, learners, I want you to look at my screen and also try to understand my contract that I'm going to tell you like a movie. Okay. Or like a book. Whatever. If you like reading, imagine it to be a book. If you like visual elements, imagine it to be a movie. Okay. Now, whenever you watch a movie or whenever you read the book, what is the first thing that you that's the first, what's the first thing that actually, something that you look into, or that actually, helps you, or like lures you to come and watch that movie? The title of the movie, right? Of course. I mean, unless the title of the movie or the title of the book will immediately attract you a little bit, ki, oh, what is this movie about, right? Even like when you and I were born, the first thing that our parents gave us was a title. Okay, they need to call us by something, right? Same thing happens in a contract. We need to give a title to the contract. Okay, and why is title so important? Why is the title of the contract so important? Identity of the contract, yes, it tells you the nature of the contract. Like, a movie title will tell you what the movie is about. Okay, but what else? Can you think more legally? What does the title tell you? Has anyone heard of this word called stamp duty? Stamp duty? Okay, no. Even if you've not heard it, don't worry. Don't worry. Just to give you like a basic understanding, stamp duty is like a fees or like a tax that you pay to the government for contracts. Now, why you pay, how much you pay, all of this is like, we'll not go too much into depth of it. But as per the Stamp Act, as per the law, the stamp duty, how much stamp duty you have to pay in a particular contract is decided by the title of the contract. Okay. This does not mean that you will write the title, you'll write like a random title, and then you can make the entire contract about something else, and then you'll pay the stamp duty according to the title, and you will escape the law. That's not what I mean. Okay. Of course, the essence of the contract is important, but prima facie, the title of a contract is very important, because that is how you decide how much stamp duty to be paid as per law. Okay, everybody got it? That's why the title is super important. Okay, if you have any questions, keep posting it on the chat box. I will address them as and when I can. Okay, trust me, I want to address all your questions, but I also want to, teach you the most I can in this limited time. Okay. Awesome. Now, after the title, as the moment you go from the title, please keep imagining the movie or the book that you have in the mind. Okay. So after the title comes the preamble. Okay. Now, where have you heard this word before? What is the meaning of preamble in the Constitution? What does it mean? Preamble means, okay, summary. Okay. More than a summary, it's basically like an introduction. Okay. It kickstarts your contract. Okay. So like a movie, the moment you you hear the title of the movie, you need to know a little bit about the start of the movie, right? Like a basic understanding or a basic introduction of the movie is given to you, like a background is given to you, right?
Akanksha, I just wanted to add a small thing
Yes.
about preamble actually.
Yes.
So, guys, what two words make the word preamble? I
Okay.
learned this late in life. So, what two words make the word preamble? Guys, am I clear in my question? Pre plus amble. What does pre mean? Pre means before. Amble means to walk. Preamble is something which walks before the constitution. It guides the constitution. I learned this later, Akanksha, and I thought I should share.
I think that's very interesting, because I'm sure that might, like, I think this will stay with all of you and you will be able to remember this. Okay. Thanks a
Amble
lot.
means to walk. Like ambling, don't amble. Sometimes your class teachers might say you, tell you. So amble means to walk. Okay, so to walk before, preamble. Yes, you're welcome. Okay. Akanksha, we
Okay,
can continue.
thanks, Tanuj, for that. Okay. So, so preamble, okay, so you're walking before it, now let's walk ahead. Okay, so preamble, as I said, it's like something that comes before the entire contract is started. Okay, it's something that even in the constitution, the preamble comes before all the articles are mentioned, right? So similarly, preamble gives you like a small introduction, it gives you like a small it kickstarts your contract. It's usually a one liner. Okay, it's just one line. Okay, just one line right below the title. Okay, at the end I will show you a contract. Okay, if time permits, I will show you this. Okay, so you'll actually be able to see it, but as of now, please focus on understanding the broadly understanding the concepts of it. Okay, so it kickstarts the contract, and if you have a notebook and pen, DPO, please note it down. Okay, that a preamble basically consists of three things. Okay, three things you will have to list down in your preamble in the contract. One is the date. Okay, when was your contract signed, or when did your contract come into effect? Okay, the date has to be mentioned. Second is the place, where was your contract signed? Okay, Third is a running definition. Okay. A running definition, or in like common language, just to make you understand, I'll say a pet name. Okay. How many of you have pet names? How many of you, like, you are called Guddu, Gudiya, I don't know, Chotu, Sonu at home, Bulbul? Okay, awesome, right? Why? Because our parents can't keep calling us like by full name. Imagine if my father keeps calling me, "Hey, Akanksha Mishra, come here, chai is ready." It'll sound so weird, right? He has to call me something, right? Similarly, in a contract also, the title of the contract usually is really long. Sometimes, like, shareholders agreement or share purchase and share subscription agreement can be like really long titles, right? So to give like a short form to the contract, so that, in future, when I have to refer, in future as in the contract itself, if I have to refer to this title, I can give it like a short form, or like a pet name to the contract. Okay, so that is given in the preamble. I can call it as an agreement, or I can call it as a SHA. Okay, shareholders agreement can be called as an SHA. Usually, the pet name that is given is also just agreement. Okay, so there are three things that are mentioned in the preamble. Everybody clear with these three things? Can you all please put it on the chat box? What are the three things that are there in the introduction of the contract, in the preamble? Date. Awesome. What else? What else? Place. And what else? The running definition. Awesome. Great. Okay. So please don't call it pet name. Okay. Please. Pet name is just for your understanding. The legal word for it is running definition. Okay. Running definition is not something that you only add in the preamble. Running definition is a concept that you can use in the entire contract. Okay. Every time you have to give a short form to anything, you can use running definition. Okay. Clear, everyone? Can we move forward? Okay, awesome. Now, next is your description of parties clause. Okay, now, as I said, that in a movie also, the moment you've understood the background a little bit, you're like curious to see where it goes. Who comes? Who's introduced to you? The actor, the cast of the movie is introduced to you, right? Even in a book, the characters of the book are enlightened to you. Similarly, in a contract also, now comes the name, the description of parties. Okay, all the people who are party, people, entities. Okay, everybody who's a party to the contract, their detailed introduction is given. Okay, this is the clause that we learn in a little bit depth also. Okay, I really want to work with you on this activity, and I really hope I'm able to do that also. So this description of parties clause, the introduction of parties clause, is something which is describing the details of the party. Okay, who is this party? What is the name of the party? Like, when you were enrolling for this particular webinar also, your name, I'm sure you wrote your name, you wrote your email ID, right? So basic details, even when you register for something in life, or when you are like, even traveling at an airport, okay, you have to show your ID card, right? So these basic details are given in the description of parties clause. Okay, we'll actually look into this in detail once I'm done with the skeleton of a contract. All right. Any doubts with until here? Everybody clear with description of parties clause? Yes, give me a thumbs up. Okay. What about others? What about others? I'm only receiving very few thumbs up. What about others? Okay, great. I like how Chandraroop is still sending his favorite emoji. Go for it. Go for it. Whatever you want to send. Okay. Okay, great. So after the parties are introduced, after we've understood about their names, their addresses, their Aadhaar card number, all of these details, okay, then the next we proceed to recitals. Okay, please write it down in your notebook. Recitals. Okay, now before we understand what recitals is, please tell me, you only tell me, what do you understand by the word reciting? Have you ever recited something? What is the meaning of the word reciting? What have you recited? Very good. Narrating. Awesome. Do you guys remember we used to come back home and then we would be like, matlab, you tell your parents ki, oh, you have to recite a poem tomorrow, right? So reciting means narrating something, telling something. More than telling, narrating is the right word. Okay. Now, recitals in the contract also plays a very similar role. Okay, you are actually reciting something. And what are you reciting here in the contract? In the recitals clause, you are actually narrating the background or the history of how and why these two people have come together to enter into a contract. Mainly why are you guys here? What do you, how are you here? Okay, so like a small recitals are basically small pointers. Okay, in bullet points you can write. It usually starts with the word whereas. Okay, I'm writing it on the chat box. Whereas basically means in consideration of, like in, by keeping in mind so and so, so and so. That's why it's called as a whereas clause as well. Okay, so you write it in bullet points and you answer the question why. Okay, like for example, if I am a person looking for a job, you are an employer. So imagine like Tanuj is an employer. Okay, he is looking for somebody to handle his content. I am a content manager. I apply at Loctopus as a content manager. Tanuj likes my profile. There's an interview. Everything is done, and now we've entered into an employment contract. Okay. Now, in the employment contract, the recital part will say, what will it say? I'll tell you. Okay. It will basically say that Loctopus, Tanuj Kalia, sole proprietor of Loctopus, um, was desirous of hiring a content manager for so and so reason. Okay. Akanksha Mishra, I'll write my designation, my qualification, approached Loctopus for the particular job for the particular job position of so and so. Okay. Before that, I'll also say that Tanuj Kalia, looking for desirous of so and so, and published an advertisement in the newspaper for the particular job description. Akanksha Mishra, looking for the so and so position, stumbled upon this particular advertisement and showed her interest towards so and so employment. Okay. Um, upon conducting the particular interview, okay, and upon getting satisfied of the eligibility and competence of Akanksha Mishra, Tanuj Kalia decided to hire her at a salary of rupees so and so upon due negotiations. Now, therefore, they have agreed to follow the terms and conditions laid down as under. Basically, what it means is that he wanted to hire, so he published on the website or newspaper. Nowadays nobody publishes on newspaper. Whatever, the person wanted to get hired, approached, there was an interview, both of them had consensus about the job, about the intention to enter into a legal relationship, and after due negotiations of so and so, they've decided on so and so monetary terms, and now they have understood, they've laid down so and so terms. So it's basically highlighting the intention of the employer to actually hire and get into the legal relationship. And it is also highlighting the intention of the employee to get hired and do all the work as per the terms. So it's answering the question why, and it's also answering the question how. How did you guys meet? How did this happen? Okay. So that's basically what is given in your recitals clause. Depending on different kind of situations, in a loan agreement, it will be completely about like how the borrower wanted to, get the loan, why they wanted to get the loan, how the bank checked upon it, and then finally sanctioned the loan, and etc. etc. What was the interest rate, and then finally. You don't have to write each and everything. Okay, not like, oh, Akanksha Mishra took an auto, reached the office, paid rupees 20 to the auto, and then sat for the interview. No, okay. It's not reciting to your friend. Okay, so you have to basically just take up the main points and write down the intentions, material facts. Perfectly all right. Okay, got it, everyone? I really request you to please put in your questions on the Q&A box. I won't be able to answer your chat box questions, okay? If you don't want it to get missed, I would really request a Q&A box. Awesome. Okay, can we proceed? Okay, great. Perfect. Next is the purpose of the contract. Now, this is an optional clause. As I said, purpose usually is it gets highlighted in your recitals, okay? But some agreements, usually they want to, separately highlight the purpose of the contract. So in just one line, they can mention the purpose, that this agreement has been executed for so and so reason. It's not necessary, it's not compulsory, but yes, some practitioners for industry practice and for brevity and clarity, they usually write purpose of contract. Okay, so let's skip this. It's not very important. But as I said, you should know, okay, that a separate purpose can also be written. Okay. All right. Now, the next clause that you have, now, until here, what we studied was all related to the introductory part. We are just laying down the foundation. We are telling about the names of the parties, the title, the background, the history, the chain, the recitals as to why you're here. Now we move towards the flesh of the contract. The actual meat of the contract is starting from here. Okay. Now, the next clause that you write is commencement date and term. Okay. What do you mean by commencement date? What do you mean by commencing something? What is the meaning of the word commence? To start. Absolutely right. Okay. So commencement date, basically, this clause tells you when have you started your contract. Okay. From which date your contract is starting. Okay. Because it is very important for you to know the start date of your contract, because that will decide the end date of your contract. It will decide the duration of your contract. Okay. So from which date have you started, the contract's effect has started. That's your commencement date. Okay. And term, what do you mean by term? Term is basically the duration for which the contract is in force. Okay. So for example, if I'm signing the contract today, or if my contract effect is starting from today, so it will be 6th. So the commencement date is 6th November 2024. I can put a running definition to it also. I can give a short form and I can just write quote unquote date, or like start date or commencement date. And it will remain in force for a period of 2 years. So the period of 2 years becomes the term of the contract. Okay. You should always have a term to the contract. You can always renew it later if you want, but please put a term to the contract. Okay. Got it, everyone? Commencement date and term. Any confusion? Any confusion? Okay, so just to repeat, commencement date is the starting date of your contract, and the term is the duration for which your contract will stay valid. Okay. All right. Representation and warranties. Okay. Next clause is representation and warranties. I'll quickly just give me 5 more minutes and I'll take your questions. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. Please put it on the Q&A box. All right. Now, representation and warranties. What do you mean by represent? It's also, by the way, in like your legal parlance, it's also known as reps and warranties. Okay. So just side information. All right. Now, representation and warranties are, please listen to it carefully. Okay. It's okay if you don't understand everything so perfectly. Get an idea. Okay. Representation and warranties are declarations or statements. They are statements. Okay, or declarations that you write in your contract to get confidence of the other party, to attract the other party to actually execute this contract with you. Thanks, Shubham, for that. Okay. Representation and warranties are basically, they go hand in hand. Okay. I'll give you an example. It highlights your ability to do something. Like imagine that if I, like for example, I'll take the same example where I have come to Loctopus for a particular job. Now, if I declare that I am, so for example, I'm teaching you contract drafting right now. Okay. If I declare that I am an expert in contract drafting, you will obviously be able to trust me, right? Because that's a statement that I'm making. That's a declaration. It's gaining your confidence. Okay. So all the statements that I make about myself or about my product, I can also say that the content that I'm teaching you is completely original. It's authentic. It's not violating anybody else's intellectual property. Okay. It is decent. It is not illegal. If I say all of these things, it is going to give you, what do you say? Like it'll actually give you more confidence to trust me. It will actually help you in taking a decision to learn from me. Similarly, in a contract also, these kind of declarations or statements that you can make about yourself, that you have the capacity to enter into a contract, right? You do not have any pending litigation over you. So all of these kind of statements that you give in a contract are known as representations and warranties. Okay. Have you gotten this like basic idea of what reps and warranties are? Okay, I want your favorite emoji immediately because I'm not getting enough yeses. So at least I need some colorful emojis on my chat box. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Now, next clause that you have is covenants. Okay. What are covenants? Has anybody heard of this word? What is the meaning of the word covenant? What is the meaning of the word covenant? Covenant basically means, yes, thank you so much for all those people who have written promise. Covenant basically means promise. Now you see, this is not a declaration or a statement anymore. It's actually a promise. I promise to buy you a car tomorrow. That's a covenant. Okay. In fact, your entire contract is filled with covenants. It is all about the promises that one party makes to the other. Okay. So, for your sake of understanding, I have divided covenants into three parts: financial, affirmative, and negative. You don't need to do that when you are drafting a contract. This is only for your understanding. Okay. Any promise that you make with respect to money, like for example, I shall pay you rupees 1,000, that's a financial covenant. Okay. Any promise that you make in a positive sense, for example, I will get up at 8 a.m. every day. Okay. That's a positive covenant. Any promise that you make negatively, like, a restriction, I will not come late home from tomorrow. That's a negative promise. Okay. I'm sure we do all of these kind of promises with our parents. Okay. I will clean my room every day. I will not fight with my sibling from tomorrow. Okay. All of these kind of promises. So your entire contract is filled with promises. Okay. The the employer shall pay rupees 20,000 per month to the employee. Okay. The employee shall finish the entire work diligently. The employee shall not violate the confidential information shared by the employer. Okay. The borrower shall pay the loan on time. Okay. The service provider shall provide the content which is original and authentic in nature. Okay. The service provider shall not harass other employees of the company. So on and so forth. All of these are promises. Got it? Your entire contract is actually about covenants. Okay, did you all get it? Is it clear? Okay, great. Awesome. I'm loving crystal clear. Okay, now let's move forward. Now, the next clause that you have is confidentiality and non-disclosure, and also intellectual property. Intellectual property and confidentiality clause, both of them are protective clauses. Okay. Like, for example, I'm sure you share secrets with your friends or your family and you tell them, hey, don't tell this to anybody else. Okay. Right. Similarly, in a contracts also, like, the employer or the service provider or the, anybody you're entering the contract into might share some information with you, which is very secretive, which is basically something that you are not allowed to share it with somebody else. In that scenario, you put a confidentiality clause preventing the party from sharing the information with somebody else. Okay, so that's your confidentiality clause. It's a protective clause. And intellectual property clause is also very similar. It's like protecting your intellect. Okay, like, can you see that if I switch off my video, let me switch off my video. If I switch off my video, can you all see the Loctopus Law School logo? Everybody can see the logo. I think on Tanuj's video also you all can see Loctopus Law School logo. Yes, can you all see it? Please give me some answers on the group, on the chat. Yes. Now that is the logo, is an intellectual property of Loctopus, right? Now, just because I am getting the permission to use the logo for taking this webinar doesn't mean that is mine. I cannot own that logo. The ownership of the logo is still belongs to Loctopus only, right? So whatever intellectual property you're using is not yours. You've only gotten the permission to use it and it will never be yours. Okay. So to protect that sort of intellectual property of yours, although by law it is understood, but in the contract, you have to mention as to who holds the intellectual property of that particular content. Okay. This PPT that I'm sharing with you, the content that I'm sharing with you, whose intellectual property is that? Is that mine? Is that Loctopus's? Is that whose is it? Okay. So all of this is decided in the contract. Okay. Got it? Confidential clause and confidentiality clause and intellectual property clause. Everybody got it? Yes. Send me your emojis fast. If you don't send me your emojis, then I'll not be able to understand how excited you are about this class.
Okay, Akanksha, I have a quick question for everyone
Yes.
regarding IP. I'm also interested in IP. So, guys, let's say you are a lawyer and I ask you to give me a legal opinion. Whose copyright will it be once you draft a legal opinion? As a lawyer, what would you want? Would you want the copyright with you or with the company? What would you want? What would you want? I engage you as a lawyer and I say, okay, I need legal opinions on these three issues. It will be with you. Okay. Is it a matter of negotiation or is it a matter of what? Industry practice. Is it a matter of negotiation or industry practice? Industry practice means standard industry practice can't really be changed, very difficult to change. Or can you negotiate? Can I be like, hey, I want this? What do you think? Okay, no right or wrong answer here. This was just to get your, brains working around, how these contracts work in real life. When I am dealing with, let's say, freelancers, interns, software developers, what sort of things and why is things like, drafting important? Company like Loctopus and Loctopus Law School, we run on content, so who owns the copyright is critical for us. And hence sometimes your negotiation skills are then also become important later on. Okay, so just wanted to give a quick check about how things can work in real life. Okay, great Akanksha, let's move ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that little trivia. Okay, now let's proceed to the next clause. The next clause that you have is indemnity. Okay, very, very important. I cannot stress enough on how important indemnity is. It is one of the most important clauses. Okay, you should really know about this clause. What is indemnity? I'll explain in the most simple words. Okay, to make good the loss. Very good. Okay, to make good the loss means if you have suffered something, if you have suffered a loss because of me, then I will pay for it. If you have suffered the loss, if I have suffered the loss because of you, you have to pay for it. Okay, now if I had to pay because of your loss, then you have to indemnify me. Indemnify means kind of like a refund it to me, like paid back to me. Now, this indemnification need not always be monetary in nature. It can be in kind. Like, for example, if somebody, sues me, like actually files a case against me because of you. Now, you have to actually hire a lawyer for me. You have to help me defend the case. Okay. So you do your problem, you have to pay, my problem, I have to pay. Okay. So making good the loss. If the loss has been caused to me because of you, you have to make good for me. You have to bring me back to the same position that I was when I was not harmed because of you. Okay. Got it? Got it, everyone? Indemnity? Okay. Yes, restoring the same position before the loss. Okay. It's also known as hold harmless, like holding harmless the person. Okay. Great. Okay. Now, a few more clauses. The next clause, and a very important clause that you have, is the notice clause. Okay. Can you tell me which concept of contract reminds you of, like, what notice clause reminds you of which concept of contract? What do you do with the notice clause? What are you doing with the other party? What is a notice? What is a notice? Can you please write on the chat box anything that you know about it? It's an information. Very good, Manshi. Okay, so I'm basically, if I'm sending you a notice, what am I doing with you? What am I doing when I'm sending you a notice? I am informing you. What is informing? It is a form of, yes, I'll give you five more seconds and then I'll say it. Yes. Oh my God. Great, Nimisha. It's a form of communication. Communication is a very important aspect in contract. If you're in the first year of law school and if not, you've not reached till there, please make note of it, that when this chapter is being taught in your class, you will definitely remember this. It's a form of communication. You are communicating with the opposite party when you are sending them a notice. Okay. So in a contract, usually if you have to inform the other party of something, there's a formal procedure. You cannot call them up and be like, hey, you know what? I don't like that clause. Please change it. And then, the next day, the person takes you to the court and you'll be like, hey, I had called him. You want to change something about the contract, if you want to talk about something, everything has to involve a formal communication in the form of a notice. Okay. Okay. I hope I'm very clearly audible to all of you, right? If there's any, I'm audible, Tanuj?
Yeah, Akanksha, I think we missed maybe 3 seconds, but it's perfectly fine.
Okay. Okay. I got that notification. Your
Yeah,
internet
yeah, yeah.
stable. Okay, so I was just saying that with notice, you basically communicate with the opposite party, okay? And you inform them anything that you want to communicate with the opposite party regarding the contract, it has to be with the formal procedure of notice. So in the notice clause in the contract, what do? You actually write down the details of the parties. Like if you have to send a notice, where will you send it? What is the address of the party? What is the telephone number of the party? What is the email ID of the party? What is the fax number of the party? Okay, earlier, fax number was also really important. And how also you'll write, how will you send the notice? Are you going to send it by courier? Are you going to send it by email? What is going to be considered as the valid notice? Are you going to send a WhatsApp message? Okay, so all of this basically is added in your notice clause. Very important clause, has to go into all types of contracts. Okay, clear, everyone? Okay, great. All right, the next clause, now last three clauses, then I will quickly do a small activity. Okay. Okay, now next clause that you have is the termination clause. Okay, now termination clause, of course, is like the most important clause because it talks about ending the contract. Okay, if you're entering something, there has to be a scope of exiting as well. You cannot just enter something and not keep a process of exiting. So the termination clause basically tells you under what circumstances are you going to terminate the contract. If you have to terminate, how will you terminate it? Is it going to be like, are you going to have like a notice period? Are you going to give some time for the other person to cure what he has done? All of these terms and conditions are added in the termination clause. Okay, it's very important to have a process of termination as well. Okay. Yes, Arshad, I am just finishing the last two clauses and then I'm going to take Q&A. Okay. Exit rights basically is how will you terminate? Under what causes, under what circumstances do you have the right to exit the contract? That is something that you actually mention in this termination clause. Okay. All right. Okay, now once you know how to terminate, now one more clause which is related, that's why I'm doing this clause first, is the dispute resolution clause. Now see, what happens is sometimes you can't just become impatient and just terminate the contract. Okay, sometimes you might have a conflict with each other. Okay, there might be like a, see, if two people are entering into a particular thing, there has to be a disagreement. Okay, if you have interacted with another human being on this planet for a long time and you've not had any conflict, hats off to you. Okay, you definitely have to have some or the other disagreement. Now, how will you resolve this disagreement? Dispute resolution basically tells you the mechanism of resolving this dispute. Are you going to go to court and litigate, or are you going to go into arbitration? Are you going to go into mediation first and then into arbitration? How will you do it? What is going to be your mechanism of resolving disputes is something that you add in your dispute resolution clause. Is this clear to everyone? The termination clause and the dispute resolution clause and the difference between the two? Okay. I want to hear from everyone now. I want to hear from everyone. Okay. I think you've forgotten to send your emojis, but I want to hear from everyone. Is until here, are you feeling comfortable? Don't worry about your queries. I will address them. Okay. Just focus on understanding what I'm telling you right now, because I'm not boasting, but you might not be able to get this kind of like a practical approach to these concepts maybe in future. So I'm telling you that please pay attention. Okay. All right. Okay. Awesome. Okay, now one more clause that I want to tell you is about the governing law and jurisdiction. Again, please make a star mark next to this clause. Very important clause, okay, that you have to add in your contract, okay? Governing law basically tells you if there is any conflict in this contract and if you take it to court, which law will be applicable when the judge sits to decide this contract. This usually is more important in case of international contracts when the contract is between one party who's in India and one party in some other country or two different countries. So the governing law plays more of a bigger role in those kind of contracts. But in India also we still add like governing law, even if it is the domestic contract, we do add governing law clause and write the governing law as India. Okay. And jurisdiction basically tells you that if at all you have a conflict, where will you go? Which court will you go to? Which court has the jurisdiction? Jurisdiction means the authority to adjudicate, right? So which court actually has the authority to adjudicate upon your conflict? That is your jurisdiction clause. All right.
Quiz. So, guys, let's say I hire someone. I am based in Chandigarh. That person is based in New Delhi. Or let's keep it this way. That person is based in Kochi, in Kerala. Where will I want to keep the jurisdiction? I'm based in Chandigarh. My employee is based in. Okay, awesome. I think you guys are getting good hang of this. Awesome. Successful. Let's move ahead. At a central. So Diane, yeah, I mean, if I'm a very kind person, a very evolved person, I can keep it at some central area. Or let's say if I'm hiring a very key employee who probably has a far more negotiation power than me, then they might say, no, I want it in Kochi. And I might have to do that. Okay, depends on negotiation, but mostly employment contracts will keep it. Jurisdiction can be at both. Combination of both. That, Akanksha, can that happen? Let's ask the expert.
Yes, definitely. If the cause of action is arising in one place, if it's arising in one place and suppose the signing of the contract is in another place, then both the courts can have jurisdiction. Okay. But if your contract clearly says that the jurisdiction is going to be of that particular place, then you have to adhere to the contract. That is why drafting is so important. Every little word, every little punctuation can change the entire direction of the contract, provided it has to be legal. You cannot write illegal terms. Okay. So yeah.
Right. Let's move ahead, Akanksha.
Okay, awesome. So just the last part of before we go ahead, the last part which says boilerplates. Okay, now the end part of the contract, okay, in the last part of the contract, there are certain clauses. Boilerplate is not just single clause. There are certain clauses. I'll just stop sharing my screen. There are certain clauses which are known as boilerplate clauses. Boilerplate basically means standard clauses, something that goes into every contract. Okay, these are some standard clauses like time is of the essence, severability clause, waiver clause. Okay, all of these are like, you don't have to really sort of customize the terms each and every time. You have to just pick and choose which boilerplate clause can go into this type of a contract. Okay, so boilerplates are standard clauses. They can go into like for example, stamp duty. Okay, stamp duty clause basically says that who will pay the stamp duty. So that goes into every contract in a very standard format. Okay, so there are around 13 to 14 types of very important boilerplate clauses. Okay, that are there in a contract, and those you have to just directly put it in a contract, but again, not blindly, directly but not blindly. It has to make sense. Like time is of the essence, in that of course time is important, so you can't just put that clause in a random contract where time is not important. Okay, so with this, like all the clauses that I just gave you like a broad idea of, all of these are really important clauses and they can go into every contract. Okay, Is everybody like kind of familiar with what kind of clauses go into every contract? Can you feel, if you feel confident, if you feel confident and you're smiling right now, at least with a little bit of clarity, please give me this amazing yes that, Manshi has given me. Okay. I just want to really, really make sure that whatever I could, like, even if the little of part that I could teach you, if it has made sense to you, and if you have really understood this, because now we'll actually take your questions and let's do an activity with you. You will really enjoy it. Okay. Let me first quickly see if I can address few questions right now. Okay, Arshad, so what would be the average length of a contract? See, Arshad, it's not necessary that you have to have like a particular, it can be as big as like 15 pages, 20 pages. It can even be 100 pages. Like arbitration agreements, most of these commercial agreements are like 100 pages. Some of them are like NDAs, can be just 1 or 2 pages. So it completely depends on the depth of the nature of transaction. Okay.
Right. Akanksha, I'll ask the question so that you can
Sure.
take a
Yes.
bit of rest also.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Anonymous Randy, can we put disclaimer with contract slash projects over Upwork? What is the extent of liability associated?
Okay, honestly, I'm not aware of Upwork's disclaimer extent. So I would not
Right.
like to comment on it.
Right. Okay. Again, anonymous attendee, the difference between MOU and contract.
Okay, awesome question. I'm sorry I can't cover this. It's a huge topic in itself, but MOU basically is like a pre-contractual instrument. It's like a memorandum of understanding. Okay, it can fall into the contractual term also. The law is very like pretty gray in this area, but MOU comes before your definitive contract most of the times. Okay,
Right.
so yeah,
And sometimes MOUs can be contracts. I mean, if the terms
that's
and
why I said
conditions, terms are written in that way, the MOU is enforceable. So sometimes in MOUs, you can clearly write this MOU is not enforceable.
yes.
It is just like a way to put whatever we have discussed orally in a written format. Or you could say, no, this MOU is enforceable, and then it nearly becomes a contract. So yes, I guess Akanksha said it is gray. Akshay is asking, ma'am, should we give names like vendor and purchaser in description or parties clause so that in later part of the contract we can address them like that?
Akshay, definitely. Okay. So remember, I told you about running definition. Okay. So even in the identification of parties clause, actually, we'll just quickly do an activity right now regarding that. So in the identification of parties clause, whenever you are defining the name of the person, you have to give a pet name like a running definition as vendor or purchaser, so that in the subsequent clauses, you can actually call them as vendor and purchaser and not the entire name. So you're
Right.
absolutely
Akanksha, would it be possible for us to quickly show them a draft contract? We
yes,
can do
yes,
that if that's
yes.
possible.
100%.
Okay, is there options to pay monthly fees to join the full course? That we'll discuss later, okay, after 8:30. Uh, okay. Any specific formats for contracts? So Manshi, there are many platforms which can give you, let's say, templates of contract. They're both Indian and international. You can use these templates, for your own purposes, but to be honest, like use these templates as starting points. Okay, you can't make contracts for your clients just on the basis of the template. Otherwise you'll put your client in huge danger. Okay, templates are useful as starting points, give you some sort of a structure, right? Just like you'll have some sort of a template for your CV, template for your cover letter, you'll have a template for different types of contracts: shareholders agreement, rent agreement, business transfer agreement, whatever, loan agreement. Kanksha, anything you want to add here?
Yeah,
Specific
I
format?
uh,
Mhm.
just one second. I'm just opening this
Yeah,
contract.
sure,
So
sure, sure, sure.
1 second.
Okay, let me see if I can address anything. Can you suggest some websites where we can read real life contracts? So, Arpit, I think if you do a quick Google search, you will find some good websites. Uh, Up Council, I think, is one good international website where you can find, some good contracts. Indian websites will let you know, if there are something which we can also sort of uh, say that, hey, these are of good quality. Okay, Akanksha, are you
Yes,
can we
yes,
take
yes.
question? Okay. So how do we, this is a very basic question, how we differentiate between contract and agreements? Diane Fernandez.
Okay, see, agreements that are enforceable by law are contracts. Okay, this is what we were taught, and this is actually the true meaning of it. But when you'll actually start practicing and when you'll, come into the industry, you'll understand that we usually call contracts also as agreements. Like, for example, we'll just be like, oh, sale agreement. Okay, sometimes sale deed, or sometimes like, so it's, nomenclature wise, it's usually now we use it in the same sense, but legally and theoretically, this is the answer.
Right. Manshi is asking, can we make contracts on normal paper or stamp paper is necessary?
Yes. So remember we spoke about stamp duty. Okay. So every contract has a particular amount of stamp duty that you have to pay. If you are choosing to use the physical stamp paper to pay the stamp duty, then you have to print your first page on the stamp paper. If you're using like an online method, then you can print it on A4 size paper and attach it along with your contract. So it
Yeah, and
depends.
I remember that, our course on contract drafting, it contains an entire module on execution.
Yes.
And that module I remember because one of my friends, who's now a law firm partner, he made it's a 15 to 20 page module. Each sentence contains something to be added. So it's a huge topic. That's what I wanted to say.
And
Okay.
we do show you, like, we also share like the actual stamp papers, and we actually show you the execution of online stamping and all of those franking. Okay, so yeah.
Okay. Nayanika Podar says, does reps and warranties fall in boilerplates?
No, Nayanika. Boiler reps and warranties is not like a standard form that you can just copy paste from one place to another. It completely depends on the nature of the contract.
Okay, this is a very interesting question. Do you have to be a lawyer to be a contract drafter?
To be honest, no, because see, I was in my law school. I was in my fourth year of law school when I had drafted my first contract. And I'll tell you why, because you need a degree to represent a client in court, but you don't really need a degree to draft a contract. If
Uh,
you, even if you're a law student and if you understand your terms well, please don't deceive your clients. But if you actually really know the law and if you know how to draft a contract, you can do it without a degree.
Right. Okay. Ayush is asking some books to help us with contract drafting. So Ayush, one of our course developers, and he's a renowned authority on contract drafting, Mr. Bhumesh Verma. You can Google his name. I'm just putting it on the chat box. Mr. Bhumesh Verma. Uh, his book has been published by the good guys at Oakbridge. They are our friends as well. You can read that book. Very practical, very good. Okay. Okay. Now Naisha is asking, what will happen if some other court and some other act is used altogether? Governing contract is already mentioned in the contract. Will the parties continue with the case? Akanksha, did you get the question?
Okay, I think I
Hmm.
am not very clear with your question, Aisha, but if you're saying that if there is an international agreement, okay, and the governing law is of some other country, then what will happen? If that is your question, okay, you've said written it again. What will happen if some other court and some other act is used? Okay. So see, firstly, Naisha, let me tell you that whatever governing law that you decide in an international contract has to be negotiated first. Okay. You have to first have an understanding. Both parties need to understand and confirm that this is the court and this is the law that they're agreeing to. Okay. And whatever they have agreed, like for example, if India and Singapore decide to have a contract and if they've used arbitration rules of Singapore, then they have to abide by the rules of SIAC only. Okay. So it's all depends on how you negotiate before you actually draft that contract.
Okay, Arshad is asking, please answer my question. Okay, Arshad, let's take it up.
I think
What
Arshad
will,
have answered your question.
what will the consequence if a foreign client gets contract drafted for an unlawful object by
That's not
hiding the fact from us? That, see, you are not liable in such cases. I mean, if the
and it's
client
void.
is hiding, yes, yes, and of
Contract itself
course,
is
yeah,
void.
yeah, yeah. Don't, guys, don't worry too much about these things. See, I can understand when we start freelancing and when we start, as students, we might wonder, what if the client does this? What if the client does that? Those things generally don't happen. 99% cases, these things, 99.9% cases, okay? If someone is a crackpot, then you can't really help. How many types of contracts are there?
Many
Anonymous.
times.
Yes. Yeah.
Many types like loan agreements,
And if you
service.
were to, let's say, put it in a bucket, I would say maybe 50 to 100, but that's also like a,
Yeah,
hmm, hmm.
franchisee agreements, so many of them.
Sir, ma'am, does these clauses are exhaustive in utility, or can we use made up clauses or dummy clauses? Yes, of course, you can make up clauses and you can use dummy templatized clauses as well. Yes, yes, definitely, Shubham. Okay. So it's both. There are some templatized clauses which you can use, but for your client, for that particular deal, that situation, also have to use your own creativity and competence. Can someone who is not actively practicing as an advocate but is enrolled, can they execute a contract? Contract execution is not dependent on being a lawyer or an advocate. Yeah. Okay, I'm BLLB first year. I'm doing diploma in IPR. How can I make use diploma in my first year to earn and for my resume? See, you can start freelancing. I mean, yesterday you had a session on Upwork. You can start probably using your IP related skills, maybe on legal writing, legal research. I don't know where you're doing your diploma in IPR from, but you can also ask them. Vidhi, this will become a longer question, but my request to you would be use yesterday's session to create your profile on Upwork and make full use of it. Yesterday's session was on contract drafting. You are doing some IPR course, so you can use your skills in IPR also to start freelancing. Okay, Vidhi? Vidhi, give me a thumbs up if that's fine. I can't really give a more detailed answer because can there be a part in contract drafting having witness information?
There has to be. So basically,
Yeah.
one of the execution formalities is to add your witnesses. Okay. So when you add your witnesses, there have to be like around two or more witnesses. So their details have to be mentioned. Their Aadhaar card copy also has to be attached along with the contract.
Okay, does the contract need sign of advocate? No.
Only the sign of the parties.
Yeah.
Some
And
people do sign, by the way. Okay, but it's not necessary.
how you started, Chandrani says, Akanksha ma'am, I'm curious how you started your journeys. Was it Upwork or some other platform?
Okay, so I was very passionate about litigation. So I actually was litigating, but I was not able to make as much money as my peers were. So I learned contract drafting to have like a side income. And I used LinkedIn very actively to get clients. And that's how I started. And it was a very fruitful journey for me. At that time, I tried using Upwork for some time, but I think for me LinkedIn worked much better, so that was one platform for me.
Right, Akanksha, let's move ahead.
Okay, all right. So guys, I want to do a quick activity with all of you. Okay, so just give me one moment. Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen. I'll show you the contract also, but like I'm just showing like a very small part of the contract. Okay, everybody is able to see my contract. Okay, I'm just showing you like very small part. This is just like a small thing. So this is the title. This is known as like a service level agreement. Okay, where two parties are involved. One person is taking the service, the other person is uh, um, uh, you know providing the service. Okay, so there's one person, one company that has hired a person who's providing some service, maybe like developing a course for them, maybe. Okay, now, this is the identification of parties clause for the service agreement where we have we have identified the company. Okay. Now, I want to show you actually how this looks like. Okay. See, ABC Company Private Limited, which is the name of the company. Okay. We have made it into bold letters. Okay. Comma, a company within the meaning of Companies Act 2013. So we write the source of the company. Where is it coming from? Like, where is the company born out of? It's born out of the Companies Act. Okay. Then bearing CIN number. CIN number is the company identification number. So we basically give the description of this company's identification number. Having its registered address at so and so. So you actually give the address of the particular company. So just look into the kind of descriptions that I'm adding for the company. Okay. hereinafter referred to as the company. Remember running definition? So running definition, we write in the bracket, hereinafter referred to as the company. Okay. Now, beyond this, you don't have to go too much into depth of it. But as of now, please understand, you need to just understand how you describe a particular entity. Okay. So you've written the name of the company, you've written the source of the company, where it is coming from, you've written the company identification number, you've written their registered address, and you've written their running definition or a pet name. Okay. Did you understand this much? First, tell me this. Did you understand how I have described the company? Forget about this as of now. Did you understand how I have described the company? Everybody? Okay. Now, this company has entered into a service agreement. Service agreement means I just told you that, a particular person, suppose imagine that you guys, okay, let's take the example of Mukesh. Okay, so Mukesh Kumar is the service provider and this company is the service availer. Okay, now Mukesh Kumar is developing a course for them. Now, I want you all to actually describe this human being. You have to use yourself as the example, your own name as the service provider. And I want you to describe yourself in this contract. Like I showed you for a company, please draft an identification of parties clause for yourself with you as a human being. Okay, don't just give me name, address, all that. Draft it like I showed you right now. Okay, I'll just share my screen for your understanding again. Please take reference of this if you want to. Try to draft for a human being. Okay, everyone on the chat box, please make an effort. Trust me, you will really be able to learn something. I'm waiting. Okay, so on the chat box, you can actually draft that entire clause and send it to me. No, you don't have to write I am. This is a contract, okay? No active tense. This is no active voice. This has to be completely like, you have to write it from a third party's perspective. So you have to write it like, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you after you're done. Okay, Sachin, son of Mr. Manoj Kumar, aged. Okay, okay. I want the running definition also. Sachin, great job, but I want the running definition as well. You're the service provider, remember. Okay, Nimisha, you can write your name. Don't write XYZ, write your name. Okay, everyone. So XYZ, aged so-and-so, engaged in a fintech business residing in. Okay, Nimisha, one thing is missing here. What is the source? What is your source? Where are you coming from? If the company's source is the law, is the act, what is the source of a human being? Okay, Manshi says XYZ, son of YZ, residents of so-and-so, having Aadhaar number so-and-so. Is the party to the contract? Are you sure this is the right language, Manshi? What have I written here? Have I written is the party to the contract here? Akanksha Mishra, age so-and-so, year so-and-so, occupation so-and-so, the party of the first part. Okay, great. Great effort, Naya. Who has written that? Nikhil. Okay. Sachin, son of Mr. Manoj Kumar, aged 25 years, resident of so-and-so, hereinafter referred to as service provider. Awesome, Sachin. Great. Okay, except like there has to be some punctuation marks. So it should be Sachin, your full name, son of Mr. Manoj Kumar, comma, okay, age 25 years, comma, resident of, write the entire residential address, bracket, hereinafter referred to as, colon, quote unquote, service provider. See how I've written in quotes. Okay. S capital, P also capital. Okay, Khushi, Miss Khushi Thakur. Now, Khushi, before writing, like hereinafter referred to as service provider, you can actually write this running definition at the end of the sentence. Don't write it in the beginning only. Write it in the end. Okay. So it will be Miss Khushi Thakur, comma, Daughter of, okay, so your source, a human being source comes from their parents. So son of or daughter of, write the name of the person, comma, age so and so, comma, bearing your identification number, your Aadhaar card or ID number. Like, you know how company has a company identification number, you should also have your own ID number. It can either be like it actually usually has to be your Aadhaar card, okay? Okay, so Bikram Biswas, student pursuing, no. Again, Bikram Biswas, first your source will come, okay? Son of so and so, bearing ID number or Aadhaar card number so and so, residing at so and so, bracket hereinafter referred to as the service provider, S capital, P capital. Student is also fine. Deanne Fernandez, resident of so and so. Again, Deanne, please mention about your ID number, mention about your residential address, full address, mention about your occupation. Rest is fine, okay? And running definition will be in capital letters. Tejbir Singh. Again, Tejbir Singh, son of is missing. Entire address is missing. Your ID number is missing, okay? Khushbu Shah, aged so and so, having PAN number so and so, residing at so and so. Okay, great, awesome. Very good, Khushbu. Arpita, residence of so and so, bearing Aadhaar number so and so, phone number also she's written. Okay, great. Please write your residential address entirely and write your ID number and write your, okay, you've written everything. Okay, service provider, running definition, S capital, P capital. Okay. Shubham, good job. You can make it a little more concise, okay? You don't have to write so much. This is a contract, okay? Manshi, daughter of so-and-so, residence of so-and-so, having Aadhaar card number. Okay, great. Himanshi, again, Himanshi, you have to write the entire residence address and you have to also write your occupation. Okay, Mukesh Kumar, son of Ashok Kumar, aged so-and-so, residence of so-and-so, Aadhaar number so-and-so. Comma, please put your commas also. Okay, it's really important to add the right punctuation marks, because if you don't add that, it's not going to, you know, the entire flow of the sentence will not make any sense. Okay. Now again, a renowned web developer, worked for many famous edtech. All of this is not necessary, Mukesh. You're not giving your bio data. Okay, you're only giving like your basic introduction. Okay. Kashish Bum, daughter of so and so, great. Employee of, not necessary. Just write down your occupation as employee. That's it. Okay. Okay. Phone number, a private information. Yes, Khushi, it is a private information. You can try, if you want, you can add it in the identification of parties clause, or you can add this in the notice clause. Okay. You can skip it also. Fahima, hereinafter referred to as licensor. Okay. Fahima, first you write your age, then your Aadhaar number. Okay. All right, Upasna, Sampath. Sampath needs to be better information. Son of, Aadhaar number, residential address, occupation, all of this is missing. Hereinafter referred to as, again, quote unquote, is missing. Upasna, aged so and so. Okay, great. Bearing Aadhaar number, aged. All right. Okay, I think now you have gotten an understanding. I have reviewed most of your, work. I think you all have done a great job, great effort put into this. I hope now it is clear. This is just one small skill that you've acquired, how to actually draft just just describing one party, that is a human being. In that also you can see that how, you know, each punctuation has to be put in so precisely. The capital letters have to be put properly, the running definition has to be put properly, the quotes have to be put properly, the chronology is so important. All of this is something that, this is just a small example of how drafting actually works. Okay, have you all gotten a slight understanding of how, you know, you can draft contracts? Everybody, if you have, you can just raise your hand or like again send your favorite emoji. Yes, great.
Okay, Akanksha, we'll take some more questions.
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay, so Shakti is asking, I'm a person BLLB second year, can I draft a contract? Guys, let's be very clear. Of course, yes, yes, yes. As students, you can draft contracts. You can even start freelancing on Upwork, or like Akanksha, start getting clients over LinkedIn. A lawyer is required to represent the client in a court. Sometimes in some cases people can represent themselves also, but mostly, advocates do the representation. To practice law in India, you require to be a advocate. But to draft a contract, not really. Sometimes in technical contracts, I might get an engineer to draft a contract, or I might get an architect actually to look at a contract. Okay, so law students can surely draft contracts. You can start earning through that. Okay, Shakti, I hope. Akanksha, anything to add?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean,
Hmm.
any person can.
Right. Procedure to get contract enforceable by law.
As I said, so there are 5 essential elements that we discussed in the beginning that has to be there, and there are certain execution formalities like stamp duty, registration. They all have to be fulfilled as per law. Okay, adding your witnesses, signing your contract properly, be important for making your contract enforceable by law.
Right. Manshi is asking, ma'am, what will write in the source of an unregistered company? So see, Manshi, the vehicles for organizations can be many, right? Can be private limited company, LLP, partnership, registered partnership, unregistered partnership. It could be a sole proprietorship. It could be a one-person company. In NGOs, it could be a trust. It could be a society.
The LPO
Yeah,
can be.
yeah, LLP. Yeah. So it can be anything, or you are dealing with an individual, right? So you need to see who the party is, who is doing the contract actually. Okay. Sir, as law students, can we draft rental agreements? 100% yes, yes, yes. Any open source reliable website, Google Drive link for contract templates, guys, that we don't know. I mean, again, Bhumesh Verma's book has good contracts. Um, yeah. Akanksha, any suggestions on such websites?
I really genuinely feel that I don't think you should take like as it is templates online
Yeah,
just easily. Definitely there especially as lawyers, and if you're law students, I think we are the creators of contracts. Okay, so I genuinely believe that you learn the concept, get learning, get courses, do all of these things, and create your own contracts and use your own contract as templates for your future contracts. So you can do that, but yes, of course there are many templates available online.
yeah. Shoma, so last two questions, okay, guys, and then we will move towards the registration. If you're up for it, let's go ahead. Okay. Shubham is asking, are there any more types of covenants?
Okay, see, so Shubham, covenants basically are promises. There can be 100 types of promises. I divided it into 3 categories only for your understanding ki what kind of promises can be there. There cannot be any promise apart from these 3 categories, but there can be many types of promises, like depending on the nature of the contract. So, yeah.
Right. Right. Akanksha, any last advice for students around contract drafting, around freelancing, starting to earn money?
I think I want to say, because I have been like an experienced person in this particular field, if you are a student, it's the greatest time to start learning contract drafting, because this is one of the most, at least it has really helped me ensure that I can take my passion of litigation, because it is actually a very rewarding skill to have. Okay. You can earn a lot of money through contracts provided you put that sort of commitment and understanding into learning it. Okay. So, my biggest advice to you all would be, do not become impatient into just quickly earning like 10,000 out of like that one contract. Put your put your years into learning the perfect contract. Even if you're charging just 2,000 rupees right now, do it.
Yeah.
I promise you that 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, you will be able to charge not just 10,000, but like a lakh if you
Yeah.
actually put your, this thing into learning. So
Yeah.
that's my only advice. That's something that I have learned, probably a little bit in a hard way, but I want to tell you in a very easy way.
Right. And I think you mirror what Anoop said yesterday, right? Be patient
Yes.
and, invest in your skills, invest in your learning.